A singer, songwriter, actress and businesswoman, Gloria Estefan is best known as the lead singer of the Latin-infused American band Miami Sound Machine. The Cuban-American artist found fame with hit singles in the 80s and 90s, and associated with Latin pop and dance pop, she has had an impressively successful career in music, winning 3 Grammy Awards and receiving the Presidential Medal of Freedom for her work in the music industry, even receiving a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. On September 1st, 1957, Gloria Maria Milagrosa Fajardo Garcia was born in Havana, Cuba. Her upbringing often had its challenges, with her father, a Cuban soldier, escaping with the family to the United States during the troubled Cuban Revolution. They settled in Miami, and Estefan's father joined the US military and fought in the Vietnam War, where he was captured and held captive for 2 years in Cuba. He finally returned home to his family in 1968, but developed multiple sclerosis. He was unable to work, and Estefan's mother became the breadwinner for the family, having to regain her teaching credentials in the evening so she could become a school teacher again. This left Estefan to care for her ill father and her younger sister. The pressure of her responsibilities became overwhelming, and with nowhere else to escape to, she gravitated towards music. She already had a passion for writing poetry and even took guitar lessons. Although she had no intentions of pursuing a career in music, she would sing to express her frustration and emotions. In 1974, Estefan became a citizen of the United States and went to study at the University of Miami, where she graduated in 1979. She also had a talent for languages, and so during this time she worked at Miami International Airport as an English, Spanish, and French translator. In 1975, she was introduced to Emilio Estefan at a wedding during an impromptu performance with his Latin music band named Miami Latin Boys. At the time, they had no official lead singer and instead took singing in turns between the 4 of the members. Hearing Estefan sing, Emilio asked her to join the band, and she became the lead singer a few weeks later. She originally only sang on the weekends as she still had to attend university, but they changed the name from the Miami Latin Boys to Miami Sound Machine when she joined. Estefan soon became the standout attraction of the band because of her impressive vocal talent. Over time, the band name would gradually become Gloria Estefan and the Miami Sound Machine. After 18 months with Estefan, Miami Sound Machine recorded and released their first album, Renacer, with a local label. The record was completely in Spanish and followed with a further 3 albums. Countries with a native language with Spanish welcomed the album, but gained little recognition from English-speaking countries, such as the US or the UK. It was in this period that Gloria and Emilio formed a romantic partnership and were married in 1978, changing Gloria's name to one the world would come to know, Gloria Estefan. They had their first child a couple of years later, and Emilio was able to leave his day job to make music full-time. It wasn't until 1984 that Miami Sound Machine would release their first English album, Eyes of Innocence, a record that would launch them straight to success. The breakthrough lead single, Dr. Beat, a dance track, earned acknowledgement in the UK, Europe, and Australia. The dance pop element of the song made it mainstream, while the prominent Latin influences made it completely unique to what else was in the charts during that era. Other than Dr. Beat and the ballad I Need Your Love, the album reigned little success in America. Their next English-speaking album, Primitive Love, was released a year later and really became the catalyst for the successful career, especially making waves in America. Conga was the first major triumph, becoming a signature song of Miami Sound Machine. It hit the Billboard 100, peaking at number 10, while the follow-up single, Words Get in the Way, reached number 5 and Bad Boy sat at number 8. They even hit the number 1 spot in the US Hot Adult Contemporary Tracks. The writing process of the music for this album and their successful follow-up, Let It Loose, was an interesting mix. In the studio, the songs were written and equally performed by 3 writers and producers, Joe Galdo, Lawrence Dermer, and Raphael Vigil. On tour, however, the lineup was different, but Estefan's vocals graced both the studio recordings and the onstage performances. The tours they headed out on were momentous occasions, filling out 40,000-seat stadiums. Let It Loose produced several well-known hits such as Rhythm Is Gonna Get You and 1, 2, 3, with ballad Anything For You really showcasing Estefan's talent. As the popularity continued, it was clear that Estefan stole the spotlight, and this was when the name of the band progressively became Gloria Estefan and the Miami Sound Machine. Cut Both Ways would be the debut album for Estefan as a solo artist, while still crediting Miami Sound Machine. The album continued to experiment in Latin rhythms, along with her balance of dance music and emotive ballads. It reached the top 10 in the US Billboard 200, while in other speaking countries of Australia and the UK it climbed up to number 1 status. This album would produce Don't Wanna Lose You, Oye Mi Canto, and Here We Are, and in doing so would achieve Estefan's greatest hits across the world. Unfortunately, while they were promoting Cut Both Ways tour, the band and Estefan were caught in a collision with their tour bus in Pennsylvania. Estefan broke the vertebra in her back, undergoing a 4-hour operation to realign her spine. Amazingly, due to physical therapy and immense positivity, Estefan made a full recovery and embarked on a comeback tour, kicking off the celebrations by performing at the American Music Awards, which were televised. The next 4 years saw Estefan tour the world and release 4 albums within that time, all influenced by pop and Latin styles. Estefan went on to win multiple Grammy Awards. 1993 saw her take home Best Tropical Latin Album for Mi Tierra, followed 2 years later with Best Tropical Latin Performance for Abriendo Puertas. In the year 2000, she received Best Traditional Tropical Latin Album for Alma Caribena. Over the years, Estefan explored projects outside of music, writing 2 children's picture books and collaborated on a cookbook with her husband. She has also made appearances in 2 films, while a musical was created about the life of Estefan and her husband. Away from music completely, they both own restaurants and hotels, and in recognition of her 25-year contribution to the music industry, Estefan won the Latin Recording Academy Person of the Year award at the Grammys in 2008. Both Estefan and her husband received the Presidential Medal of Freedom for their devotion and contributions to the music and Latin American culture, positively changing the landscape of the music industry throughout their careers. You can check out the Carly of Spotify to listen to the original tracks of the artist. It's a curated playlist with the most popular songs.